Yeah, ultimately, I've had the view that we're going to go to 12 to 13, and ultimately, I actually have a view we probably go down to 9.
People tend to hear what they want to hear, believe what they want to believe.
You know, everyone wants the simple, what's the simple direction? Just tell me where it's going. Some of the influencers are, I mean, everyone is just so bullish so quickly. I think that that would be a max pain level. A lot of kind of these hodlers, these Bitcoin maxis, they would get to that max pain where they would potentially throw in the towel. I don't believe that there's ever any such thing as, oh, I missed the boat, right? So there's always, every asset always gives you opportunities.
All right, guys, hello and welcome. We're joined here today by Gareth Soloway of InTheMoneyStocks.com. As you may recall, we spoke with Gareth last year. Very interesting points you made, Gareth. I was saying at the start of this session, by the way, the one person who I get continued requests for interviews is yourself, Gareth. You have an interesting, obviously, insight into the markets, and usually, majority of the time, I actually agree with you. But we'll see. We'll see if I agree with you today. By the way, we were saying at the beginning that you live in Florida, and I'm very jealous. Good weather, you said. Am I right?
Yeah, it is nice here for sure.
Yeah, hopefully I'll come again and see how it is over there.
Next time you come, we gotta try to meet up for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's go out for a beer or something. But here's the thing I want to ask you. By the way, what I want to also show you is I want to show you this. Actually, what I'll do is share with everyone here.
Yep.
Yeah. This is a poll I put out, everyone, which I want to talk with you about. Notice that I asked everyone, what is your opinion, view by the rally and jump in the price of Bitcoin? The majority, look at this, the minority, 24% of people, respondents, 25%. This, by the way, these are our own YouTube subscribers. 7,900 people, about almost 8,000 people voted. And you can see only 25% said we're at the beginning of an uptrend or a bull market, but 41% is a bull trap. In other words, going to crash to new low soon. And about 24%, I think, as you can see there, 34%, sorry, 34% said it's a bear market rally. And it may go higher, but eventually it's going to fail later this year. So actually, if you think about it, the majority, if you put the 41% and 34% together, the majority are bearish, even if you consider the last one. But only a minority, 25%, are bullish. Now we'll see what Gareth thinks of this in a few minutes. Gareth, if you don't mind, I just want to mention something quickly, just for a few minutes before we come in to your charts and analysis. If you don't mind, is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. People will say, "Oh, Alessio, you're doing all the talking here." No, honestly, I do need to get this off my chest, and it's quite important because often people get the wrong impression. Some people think, "Oh, Alessio is a genius. He's always right," and I'm not. Guys, here's the thing. I've said this before. I'm not always right in my calls and predictions. Of course, we're not. Everybody knows we're not really predicting the market. We're doing our best to do correct analysis and what is the most probable path for the market. You know, I don't like the word prediction, but fine. If you want to call it that, let's call it that. All I'm trying to say here is, guys, look, I'm a human being. So is Gareth. We try our best to be right, but yes, occasionally we get it wrong too. So I want to mention two calls I made last year in 2022, which was wrong. Firstly, when the price of Bitcoin crashed in November after the FTX collapse, my primary expectation, I don't know about you, Gareth, but my primary expectation, my main expectation was that we're going to continue the downtrend towards 12K. Of course, I was wrong about that in hindsight. Having said that, even though my main expectation was to go down in the downtrend towards 12K and 13K, nevertheless, I did warn our subscribers, I warned our members that if Bitcoin were to take out 17,060, I mentioned this towards the end of last year, 2022, that there was a resistance level at 17,060. We could then rally towards 19,350. But I also mentioned if it takes out 16K, then we're going much lower towards 13 and 12K. By the way, before I go to the next point, did you have a similar view, or were you much more contrarian? And did you actually think, I'm talking about after the FTX collapse, were you bearish like me towards 12K and 13K, or did you have a different point of view?
Yeah, and we'll get into it, I'm sure, in a little while. But I still, sure. So there's a period, and you know this from assets in general, that there's bear market rallies they're called rip your face off rallies for a reason.
Absolutely.
So it's my belief that that's what we're in right now, which is one of the questions on that question thing that you had. But yeah, ultimately I've had the view that we're going to go to 12 to 13, and ultimately I actually have a view we probably go down to 9.
Interesting. I'll come back to you, Gareth, in a minute. The second call or prediction I made last year, which was wrong, and this was January of last year, January 2022. at the time, price of Bitcoin was hovering around about, I think it was 45K or 40K. I said that I was still expecting Bitcoin to head to all-time highs and potentially even to 100K. Now, looking back on it, obviously facepalm. That was completely wrong. I understand that. So I was bullish on Bitcoin in January of last year, expecting it to go much higher to all-time highs. But I nevertheless, and this is the bit everyone forgets. Almost every single person who asked me this question about my call last year, forgets the warning. I gave a strong warning to everyone, our viewers, our subscribers, our members, that if Bitcoin were to drop below 36K, 36K was my support. If we were to break that level, then we're going to go significantly lower into an extended bear market towards 20K, about 22K, 20K.
If Bitcoin, it's an if, but if Bitcoin were to break this support level here, at the monthly lows and the 21 monthly MA here, just near 36,000, then a sustained break of that support level could increase risk quite significantly to the downside, like we saw in previous examples. In other words, guys, if this support level were to break, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, if that actually happens, then it could increase the risk of a much more deeper correction and a more extended bear market that could last several more months into this year. And if instead we see a drop below 37K, then no. That actually could increase risk quite significantly to the downside. A break below 37K, then that actually could increase risk towards the next key levels. I think potentially, very likely the 30K level could get tested. And indeed, yes, I think we potentially could move towards 27K as well. Potentially even, if 27K does not hold, we may even see a move down into the lower support region for a potential wave 4 in the green zone.
And here's the thing, Gareth, I don't know if you noticed, people always forget that important part. That was a really important part I mentioned, because that's the risk part. And people say, well, why do you even mention that? Why not just stick to one scenario and forget about the other part? No, because I have to mention at what point I'm wrong. So what I usually do in my videos is, look, I say, fine, I'm expecting Bitcoin maybe to go in this direction. Last year, I was expecting it to go higher, which was wrong. But I warned everyone that, look, if it breaks support at 36K, and I mentioned this in my video, I'll put it in there, then guess what? We're going to go lower, significantly lower, 30K, 22K in an extended bear market. And the thing is, people always forget that part and focus on the other part. But I don't know if you noticed that, Gareth, but people tend to hear what they want to hear, believe what they want to believe. They forget the most important part, the warnings we give as to when our analysis could be.
Right, which is the risk management is everything for a trader, right? So I mean, like we talked about a little while ago, you know, if you make money on 7 out of 10 trades, you're a Hall of Famer. But if on your 8th trade you lose everything you made in your first 7, then what's the point, right? So this is you're absolutely right. I mean, you know, everyone wants the simple. What's the simple direction? Just tell me where it's going. Not like if it goes here, that's great, and that's what I think is going to happen. But if it breaks this level, that's a technical breakdown. And so, you know, one of the things I always tell people is, like, people always ask me for technical levels as well. And even with technical levels, it's not quite as simple, because there's a time factor involved in levels, right? So for instance, if we come down, let's say $20 is a technical support. Let's say we come down to $20.50 on a chart, and then you start making a bear flag just above 20 bucks. I'm not going to like $20 anymore, because now you have a bear flag just above that level, and there's too much risk you can flush right through. So people have to understand that it's not as simple as kind of black and white in trading, and you need to be kind of looking at these other factors. So you're absolutely right. That does happen.
Gareth, let's go to your charts.
All right. Yeah. So one of the things to note on Bitcoin is that you had this trend line that started right at the FTX high. And I call this the FTX high just because right here is where the decline began, when FTX began to be uncovered as a fraud, right? So what I was following was this trend line here, and then this one to the downslope, right? And once we broke above it, that's really where you got this kind of short squeeze, asset values, again, kind of this re-energizing of buying pressure in Bitcoin. But what I said earlier, and we touched on it, is look at where price stalled out, right at that technical level. So now you have a little bit of a pullback. Now, for me, this is a scenario I'm watching closely. Like, overall, my macro view is still that Bitcoin likely hasn't bottomed. My macro view, the reason I think that is that I've never seen a bottom in an asset where there's so quickly so much bullishness. And I mean, I flip on Twitter, and some of the influencers are, I mean, everyone is just so bullish so quickly. Usually, if you go back to the 2009 lows in the stock market or the .com lows, the first 30% move up off of the lows, everyone is very scared. And you're not seeing that just yet. At least to me, I'm not seeing that panic. And So, I mean, there are things like that. The other thing that bothers me about Bitcoin potentially being already at a bottom, and why I think it's not, is that the Fed stopped printing money and they're actually sucking money out of the system. Every previous bear market in Bitcoin saw an 80 to 85% decline with stimulus, with low interest rates, right? Since 2009, the Fed was always doing QE. So it's hard for me to get my brain around how the Fed could stop QE, suck money out of the system, yet somehow the bear market in Bitcoin would be less than previous bear markets. So there's a few different things here. The other thing would be also the downtrend. I mean, if you zoom out on this chart, this is the bounce everyone's getting excited about. Now, if it was all the way up here, yes, at that point there's a break in trend, but we still haven't had a major break in trend yet. And so I want to see price prove itself before I start getting bullish. So for me, there'll be buy levels. I mean, there'll be a swing trade, quick swing trade. If we pull back, let's see here. Let's say Bitcoin dumps back to about 18,500. I could play that for a quick bounce. Then you have this level here and eventually double bottom. These are just quick little trading opportunities. But ultimately, my guess is eventually we do go down and make new lows. It concerns me a little that your poll is favoring that, because I usually like to be counter, the public and stuff. But I'm just going to chalk it up to your followers are much wiser than the general public.
Great. You're very kind. You're very kind. My view is, I mean, I'd like to hear more from your analysis in a few minutes, but my view is that I'm willing, just purely based on the sentiment, I think based on the sentiment that is so extremely bearish and negative and pessimistic, and also because it broke some key levels of resistance, but it hasn't yet broken completely the November highs, the pre-FTX collapse high. I agree with you. I'd like to see that level break. I would also like to see the October high break, because I'm sorry, that high you've drawn at September high. Yeah, I'd like to see that level break as well. However, I think at the moment, I'm willing to give this the benefit of the doubt. I'm willing to give this rally the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to remain cautiously bullish as long as price protects and remains above that December low. So look, listen, if the December low gets broken, if price breaks the December low near 16K, fine, I'll join in with you and say, yes, we're going significantly lower towards, well, I think you'll mention your target in a minute. But as long as we're above that, perhaps this is where I might disagree with you. I think I'm cautiously remaining bullish here. There's a lot of disbelief in the market. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
No, one of the things I would say to you too is that, just like you said before, you have to be ready to pivot. And so one of the things a good trader is doing is watching what type of pattern formation is created off of this. So for instance, I'm keeping a very close eye on whether or not, and let me put this in here, parallel channel, right? Like, is this the beginning of bullish consolidation? Like, if we stay inside of this consolidation, let's say for another week or two, then honestly, I would agree with you. Then that's the chart telling you it's going to go higher. And so, yes, right now I'm into saying, okay, we don't have a bull flag yet, so we could pull back, but that may change. And I may say, okay, time to hop long here for a move up to, next resistance would be 22.5. Then the big one is going to be around 25,000.
Interesting. But you did mention earlier, I think, that you expect Bitcoin to go to, well, you mentioned the target, which was astonishing. Below 10K, I think you mentioned it could go. Talk more about that.
Yeah, so that comes, the 9 to 10K target comes from my thought of comparing FTX to the Lehman Brothers collapse. A lot of similarities. One was a bank, one was an exchange, but they both house money. And we saw that in 2008 when Lehman Brothers collapsed. The stock market had about 6 months left of downside to it and about a 45% drop. So from where FTX began to collapse, if you subtract about 45% off, you get right around that $10,000, $9,000 level. In addition, I think that would be a max pain level, that if we broke 10K, a lot of kind of these hodlers, these Bitcoin maxis, they would get to that max pain where they would potentially throw in the towel. And usually bear markets, they get people, the majority of these people, to kind of throw in the towel. And so that to me is a max pain point that I think would be also interesting. But yeah, I mean, I think that overall that would also put us in the range of, being 80 to 85% off of the all-time highs that match up with previous cycles.
Can you just show us that level on the chart? That's level 10K, 9K. Is that okay? Can you zoom out a little bit? Thanks.
So basically, number one, here's your 12 to 13,000 level, which is absolutely a big level right here, right? So this area right in here is absolutely, I agree. That's going to be a big support area. So if we get down there, I would expect a significant bounce. The 10K level comes in right with this area right in here. So you have this area down here, all this support down in that range. I also think that if I remember correctly, there was also an interesting trend line. I'm just got to see if I can match this up. But this upsloping trend line from before the 2017 bull run to this area to the COVID low, that line is coming up towards that 9 to 10K level over the next 6 months as well. So there's a couple different confluences of levels right in that vicinity.
I would say this, though, in your favor. If you're correct, and it's possible you might be right, that makes sense from the perspective of, sometimes price likes to go initially below a major psychological level like 10K. And then immediately reverse. Look what happened. You remember when, I think we were talking last year in June, when Bitcoin dropped just under 20K, and then it went just under, and the people just panicked and sold, capitulated, and then bounced, and it had a little bit of a bounce.
Yeah, and this is the beauty of it, is that even if this is a bottom, a good trader will notice the change in trend and then look for pullbacks to start to buy. And again, that's why I don't believe that there's ever any such thing as, oh, I missed the boat, right? So there's always, every asset always gives you opportunities, whether it's through bull flags or through retraces to previous breakout levels. And so again, the beautiful thing about it too is that, and this as well, is that as a trader, there's always another opportunity as well. So, if you don't participate in Bitcoin, there's going to be natural gas, or there's going to be, gold, or there's going to be a stock, or, any of these type of things. So again, I think people need to be reminded of that, because people always get so hung up on like, oh, I missed that boat, now I have to revenge trade and try to make it back. You don't have to do that. There's always another trade.
Gareth, thank you very much indeed for this opportunity to talk with you. Tell us more about how people can join your services on inthemoneystocks.com and what they can get from it and what they can learn. And absolutely. I do recommend, by the way, guys, I do highly suggest, if you haven't done it already, go to the link. I'll put the link for you guys in the screen, inthemoneystocks.com, and do check it out. Gareth's services.
Nice. Yeah. And so first off, thank you for having me. It's an honor to talk to a fellow trader and a technician of the charts, as again, I think it's amazing stuff to read into charts and help people in general make money in any type of market, both bullish or bearish. So if people want to find more information, inthemoneystocks.com is where I'm at for stocks. Verifiedinvestingcrypto.com is for cryptocurrency. And both places I run a service where I put out trade signals. So if I see a buy or a sell or a short, I'm putting those alerts out to members, and I do a daily video with lots of technicals, lots of cycle work, all that kind of fun stuff for members to kind of tune in every evening and get their fill of.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you. I mean, honestly, it's been a true honor. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey guys, I hope you liked this video. Thanks for watching. Just to let you know, you can watch the rest of my interview with Gareth Soloway, where we talked about very important matters. For example, how he goes about analyzing the charts. We talked about some of Gareth's favorite trading strategies. Also, how Gareth Soloway goes about managing risk, something extremely important you should know about. So you can watch the rest of this interview with a lot of educational information in the members area. And by the way, these videos are not on YouTube. So as a member, you can log in and access the rest of my video interviews with great traders and analysts, for example, Gareth Soloway, but also writers of great books on trading. For example, the classic book, Market Wizards. I interviewed Jack Schwager some time ago, and he shared with us a lot of fantastic and valuable information. You can watch my interview with top trader Linda Raschke, who, by the way, wrote the book Trading Sardines. She's a brilliant analyst. She's also one of the market wizards in the book Market Wizards, by the way. Then there's the famous options trader Guy Cohen, who wrote the brilliant book Options Made Easy, and also this book I love here, which is Volatile Markets Made Easy. Plus also my extended interview with the economist Lynn Alden, who I believe is a very intelligent analyst, and also my interview with trader and the expert on the Dow theory, that is Manuel Bly, and he shared with us a great strategy for analyzing charts. Again, remember, these educational video interviews are not on YouTube. So as a member, you can access all these video interviews and learn a lot. To join and become a member is very simple. All you have to do is go to this link you see here. That is leadingtrader.com/join 2023. And by the way, the link is in the description as well. And when you join on the link, you also get 3 months extra free for a total of 6 months. All right, guys, thank you very much indeed. I look forward to seeing the next video update. Bye for now.